This is the MGTOW Infinium here with another Infinium FreeTalk. This Infinium FreeTalk is entitled, Don't Waste Your Time with False Alignments. Now, my brothers, just starting off, this Infinium FreeTalk was actually supposed to be an Infinium out and about. But unfortunately, as things go with these types of things, when you do content out and about, so to speak, I did run into issues with the wind picking up to the degree that it disrupted the audio for that out and about. And of course, the usual gang stalking types of effects that happen to me when I do content of any sort out and about, so to speak. Like, for instance, the shelter that you see me in where I'm trying to do content, two pixies came along and they asked to share the shelter with me because the shelter had a grill which was located next to it. And by the time that they came, I was already packing up my gear to get out of the shelter. So I was going to leave anyway. But again, they came and basically wanted me to get out of the shelter so they could take control of the shelter. Now, the shelter I was in was the type of shelter where it was first come, first served. So if you got into the shelter first, and whoever wanted to use the shelter afterwards, they had to wait till you vacated the shelter. But as things go, I did not choose to argue with the two pixies that wanted me to get out of the shelter, even though I had every right to be in the shelter and to occupy the shelter, and they had no right to ask me to share the shelter. I did not argue with them because I was leaving anyway, and because if I had chosen to share the shelter with them or allowed them to share the shelter with me, the type of content I was doing would have likely caused a big argument with them because they would have overheard what I was doing. So all in all, I just chose to leave and let them have the shelter and call it a day because of, again, the wind issues that I was encountering and, of course, being gang stalked by the people there in the park, which the park was Princess Anne Commons, by the way, which is located in Virginia Beach. And of course, I saw the obligatory single mothers out there with that single mother help me smile on their faces. Like one woman that went by that shelter with her kids and giving me that smile and everything every time she went by there. But in any case, my brothers, I am spying out locations where I can do out and about content in peace. And I intend to, in spite of the gang stalkers, in spite of the issues that I face, like, for instance, having an armed park ranger call to come and check on me to see what I was doing, which what I was doing was minding my business. But in any case, I am spying out locations where I can do what I need to do in peace. And also, I'm working on being better able to do remote run and gun types of content where I can do out and abouts, do any type of content that's out in the public, so to speak, and be able to do it with the capabilities I am attempting to build up. The other thing I would like to say, my brothers, is thank you so much for supporting my content, listening to my content, and considering my content of some worth to your walk along the MGTOW path. I am in my 8th year of content production, and I have come a long way in terms of the production values, the capabilities I have, and it would not be possible, my brothers, if it was not for your support of my content. So thanks again, my brothers, for supporting my content, listening to my content, reading my posts, etc. Because again, without you, my brothers, I would not be able to do what I'm doing. But getting back to the topic of this Infinium FreeTalk, don't waste your time with false alignments. My brothers, I would like to just reiterate what I and other MGTOW content creators have been saying in terms of watching your backs, watching your interactions with women, watching what is happening to you with women. Because, my brothers, again, you're going to see a great push from women, from the feminist plantation state, from feminists in general, for we MGTOW men to stop what we're doing, and that is stop our walk along the pathway to freedom, turn around, and come back to women. You're going to see a great push coming from every side, from the right side, from the left side, from the middle, for we MGTOW men in particular to give up our right to be free and to align with women without any regard to what was done to we men. We MGTOW men are going to be targeted in such a way and be made out in such a way that we are, first of all, the cause of the problems with women, and that we are shirking our responsibilities for fixing those problems. My brothers, I will remind you that the problems that the feminist plantation state, feminists, and women in general, these problems were created by their own actions. Now, everything that they're facing is directly related and directly attributable to feminism and what feminism has done to women overall. And it is also attributable to women not listening to our warnings of what would happen to them should they proceed along the course that they have proceeded along, and told us that we needed to be quiet, that we need to shut up, that we need to accept what women are, who they are, and what they embrace in terms of feminism. That's what happened, my brothers. And that is what is occurring. And see, now, since women are facing all types of issues, A to Z, and now that, quote unquote, winter is here, women now want us, and in particular, we MGTOW men, to turn about, to consider their plight, and to align with them for the purpose of bringing them out of the winter season that they are in. Now, of course, you see these women out on YouTube, TikTok, etc., incoherently babbling, crying about anything and everything, from not being able to find men to they're homeless. But my brothers, again, they are aware of it being winter. But there is the expectancy of we men putting on our overcoats, putting on our parkas, and retrieving these women out of that winter season. And our overcoats, our parkas represent the resources, our wallets, our homes, our cars, everything and anything that the feminist plantation state deems as theirs. Anything and everything in terms of our money, our resources, our bank accounts, our homes. It is everything that we men are expected to rescue these women out of the winter season that they're in. My brothers, there's also fear within the ranks of the feminist plantation state that this winter season could turn into an ice age, meaning that it could be a decades-long type of deal in terms of what is going on. And that is what they are fearful of, my brothers. That is what feminists, the feminist plantation state, and women in general are fearful of. That this winter time that they are facing, that they are going through, and it is a winter time of immense problems. Anything and everything that you can think of, my brothers, is happening to women. I would say, on a spiritual standpoint, that it is truly a time of judgment upon women in general because of the things that are going on, because of the issues that they are facing, my brothers. But nevertheless, my brothers, it is a winter season. It is a deep winter season. It is getting worse. And my brothers, the fear and the reality of what the feminist plantation state faces is this deep winter turning into a ice age. And that is what they are trying to prevent. And that is why they want you to put on your overcoat, put on your galoshes, put on your boots, put on your parka, get out into your car and go rescue those women who are in this winter season, that it is your duty, in particular as MGTOW men, to rescue these women because you are supposed to. And why you are supposed to is because you are a slave, and your responsibility as a slave is to do what you're supposed to do. Do what you are supposed to do in terms of your need to fulfill your slave obligations. But my brothers, it is not your duty to align with women who, in the first place, left you out in the cold, left you with the struggle of being persecuted by the Feminist Plantation state, who are now suffering because of the things that we warned them of. We warned women that these times would happen, that the end of the free ride, so to speak, would come to pass, and they would suffer because of these things. But yet we were told to shut up and suck up and go away. We were even told that we were dangerous to the extent that bears were safer than us. These were the things that were done to us. And now what has come to pass is, again, the winter season, a deep winter season, which has, again, the potential of turning into an ice age. But my brothers, nevertheless, in my opinion, if things need to go to an extent that an ice age occurs in terms of feminism, the feminist plantation state, and women in general, as harsh as it seems, my brothers, I would say that if you try to help women at this stage of the game, if you try to, quote unquote, be noble, or if you simp out, my brothers, it will be a total waste of your time. And it will be a signal to women, to feminists, the feminist plantation state, that you are in alignment with what they want. And that is life as it had been, where you as a man are persecuted in every way possible because of the feminist plantation state, because of feminism, where again, life as it had been continues. And you, as a result of that, lose everything that you are entitled to. And that is your freedom, my brothers. And my brothers, because women will not take accountability for their actions, there will be no true repentance from women, from feminists, from the feminist plantation state. There will only be gaslighting and the expectancy of you being a slave. My brothers, the feminist plantation state, feminists and women in general, know what is going on. They know where the problem is. They know that the problem is not we men, it is them. But yet they will continue to gaslight us, to blame us, to point the finger, to say that we have the responsibility of fixing the issues. Now, for example, I'm seeing week after week reports of women being in depressive states, that they are suffering from depression, they are suffering from stress, that the stress that they are under is causing them to have higher levels of strokes, where in comparison, men are not suffering from these types of issues, the types of stress that women are suffering from. And my brothers, rather than to deal with the issues and deal with the reality of the issues, that being what feminism, the feminist plantation state, and women in general have done to men to create this situation where this stress is happening to them. Like, again, pushing us off of jobs, pushing us out of our homes, divorce raping, paternity fraud. I'm seeing week after week reports of women being in depressive states, that they are suffering from depression, they are suffering from stress, that the stress that they are under is causing them to have higher levels of strokes, where in comparison, men are not suffering from these types of issues, the types of stress that women are suffering from. And my brothers, rather than to deal with the issues and deal with the reality of the issues, that being what feminism, the feminist plantation state, and women in general have done to men to create this situation where this stress is happening to them. Like, again, pushing us off of jobs, pushing us out of our homes, divorce raping, paternity fraud, instead of dealing with all of the issues caused by feminism and being truthful about it. Being truthful about feminism being an abject failure, women would rather dance around the issues in terms of gaslighting and pointing the finger at every other thing, including we men, rather than to deal with what is actually causing the problem. Now, for example, I saw another report of women suffering from a form of depression caused by the push by women, feminists, the feminist plantation state, for women to be boss babes. Now, forgive me if I butcher this name, but it is called Anhodonia. Now, Anhodonia is the inability or reduced ability to experience pleasure or enjoyment in activities that are typically pleasurable. Now, this report stated that it was because of the stress generated by women being in boss babe types of positions where they had a lot of responsibilities, quote unquote, where they had to work long hours, where they had to deal with a lot of issues, so to speak. This is causing this type of depression. My brothers, again, we warned women that these types of things would happen. And so again, rather than pointing out the issues like Me Too, like men being pushed off of their jobs by boss babes, being harassed, all of these things, rather than to deal with what has actually happened, women are now suffering the consequences of those actions, of the things that have been done to we men. And they are suffering in the form of depression. Now, moving on, I keep hearing reports of the STD rates with women, and it is all types of things. But one interesting thing that is happening is that the morphing of the STDs with women is getting to the state where it is horrific. It is the type of thing that if you look at some of the science fiction horror flicks that are out there, my brothers, it is up there in terms of the horrific nature of the feminist nightmare on Elm Street. Like the STDs morphing from bacterial types of STDs to parasite type STDs. Flesh-eating bacteria and parasites happening to women. All of these things, we warn women that these things would happen. And again, my brothers, that is just part of the horrific things that are now happening to women, wherein if you align with them, if you try to, quote unquote, simp out and help women, you will be pulled into something that you don't want to be involved in. And moreover, you will lose your freedom in the process of doing so. That is, again, because there is no taking of accountability for actions, rather than to cite fully what is going on and cite fully what the problem is. And the problem is feminism. No matter what women say, the problem is feminism. It is not we men. And again, those women who are now hypocritically citing feminism as a problem are only doing so as lip service, because they realize that the possibility of the winter season that they face will turn into an ice age. And my brothers, again, do not align with these women in any case. Even if they are speaking out against feminism, even if they're saying that feminism was a problem, oh, I have turned around. Oh, I have seen the light, so to speak. My brothers, again, there is a condition where you cannot save what is unsavable. And it is a waste of your time to save what is unsavable. And you must look at it this way, my brothers. If they would not listen to you when you warned them, and if in the midst of the problems they still will not come to accountability, then, my brothers, you must consider that it is a lost cause, and you must do what you need to do as MGTOW men, and that is take care of you. Take care of who you are. Put yourself first. Don't put on the galoshes. Don't put on the overcoat. Don't put on the parka. Don't get out into your car and go try to do your quote unquote duty, my brothers. Rather, take care of you. Use this opportunity to build upon the sure and solid foundation of your freedom. Build the infrastructure of your life as it should be and as you need it to be as a MGTOW man, and ignore the calls for you to align with something which has never had your back in the past, has never had your back in the present, and will never have your back in the foreseeable future because of the lack of accountability, the lack of taking accountability for actions, my brothers. And that is the Feminist Plantation state, feminists, and women in general. Again, do not align with what has persecuted you in the past, what intends to persecute you in the present, and what intends to persecute you in the future. My brothers, your only options as MGTOW men is to walk along the MGTOW pathway towards your freedom and build upon the sure and solid foundation of your freedom. Build the infrastructure of your life upon that foundation, upon that sure and solid foundation, and live your life as you should, as free men, as you are designed to be, as you need to be, and what the MGTOW philosophy allows you to be as free men. This is the MGTOW Infinium, and this has been an Infinium Free Talk. My MGTOW brothers, as always, stay safe, stay strong, stay on the MGTOW path, and remember, MGTOW is the liberation of men's minds. MGTOW cannot and will not be stopped.